What is happening, everyone? You are back with TROP-CAST 2019. This is episode 25, and we're back, everybody. It's been a long time. We have some old members. We also have some new members. Anyone that's in the chat there waiting, we do apologise. We had a couple of technical issues, as we always do. It's tradition here on the TROP-CAST. I am your host, Ronan Fox. With me tonight, we have the main man, Seamus Fanning. What's happening, Seamus?
How are you getting on, folks? It's good to be back. Just so many technical difficulties. I have to apologise to everybody. But no, it's good to be back. It's good to be here. It's good to be healthy and alive. How is everybody?
You're looking well.
I try. It's the tea.
We have the Platinum Jack. What's happening, Jack?
What's up, folks? How are we doing? Good to be back and talk about more plats that I haven't got.
You haven't been doing your job. I seen you have a new logo. It looks pretty tasty.
Yeah, I have a Colin Dos Santos to thank you for that one. Or Pixel Designs on Facebook if you want to go that route. But
shout out to him, absolute legend. Always a great supporter of the Republic of Players and everything we do. So shout out to him. Go and look at his work. We have a new member, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Pat Curley. He has been a content creator for the Republic of Players. The last, I suppose, what would you say, 2 or 3 maybe months, Pat?
Yeah, say that. Say you're about right with that there, yeah.
And you are absolutely dishing out reviews like no tomorrow.
Sure. It's good crack, so it is.
Just to let you know, a big thank you for the work that you've been putting in. Every review that you do, like this, the first review that you done for us was absolutely amazing. Every review up to that has been improving, and I think you really hit the nail on the head. With your last one, wasn't it? Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur, Spider-Man, yeah.
So before, the one that really stuck out to me was the Soul Calibur one. You were a little bit worried about throwing your own personality in there, and I think it worked fantastically. Honestly, I thought it was amazing. Paddy even agreed. And just to talk about Paddy, he's not here at the moment. He had a rough week. He had a bit of an injury. So hopefully he's going to be back next week. And we'll get the show back to its normal running. But I suppose we'll start the show like we do every time, and that's the what we're playing section. So Pat, you are our new member. What have you been playing recently?
Well, I've been playing quite a lot at the moment, but mainly what I've been playing at the moment has been Tales of Berseria, Driver for the PS1, and Soul Calibur 6.
Nice choice of games. Driver 1, so talk a little bit about that. Does it hold up?
There's just something about it, really. Just the way the car feels and drives, and even the damage on it today is really something really good. Like, I know sometimes when you're going around a corner and the rim of a tire will just come off and it just floats away, so it does.
Yeah, actually, I remember that. How did you get on with the first level? It was always a nightmare to try and get by.
Jesus Christ. It's not nice.
It's still as tough as always, yeah?
You don't have enough time. It's ridiculous. But if you stick with it, you'll eventually get it, if luck's on your side.
And Soul Calibur, tell us how you're liking that. I know you did the review and you said that you were loving what they did. How is that game holding up for you?
Oh, it's brilliant. A really good, strong return to form for the series, because I wasn't particularly a big fan of 5, and 4 was sort of okay. But 6 really sort of cleaned it up. Just playing a lot of it with my friends, and thankfully they haven't beaten me yet. So
in terms of like a fighting game, is it an easy game to kind of jump in as a casual, or do you really need to be a fan of the series to know what you're getting into? What sort of kind of entry level is it to play a Soul Calibur game?
I think it's a lot easier than the likes of Tekken, because Tekken is just so complex to an insane extent, because you have all of the buttons correspond to your legs and your fists in Tekken, but you have the guard for Soul Calibur, and then there's 3 buttons, and then you have Owen Triangle and Box and Triangle as extra attacks, so it's very limited compared to Tekken. Yeah. So it's easy enough to get into it. And they also have a lot of triggers, like you have L1, which can be Box and Triangle by itself, which is just in case you are struggling to get Box and Triangle at the same time. Yeah. It just really helps out, so it does.
Nice. Yeah, Tekken would be definitely one of my favourites, just for exactly what you said, for the fact that you have each button is a part of your body, a left hand, a right hand, a left kick, a right kick. I love that style of fighting game. But I also like Soul Calibur, the way it looks. Geralt of Rivia was one of the characters that was brought into it. I seen that, and that interests me to use a character like that in a game. I like actually when fighting games do that. They bring characters in that maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. Mortal Kombat, speaking of that game, I think the beta just actually dropped. They bring in cool characters from movies, and I think it works really well. But no, thanks a million for that, Pat. We'll go on to Jack. Jack, what have you been playing?
Honestly, I've been playing very, very little because of moving house and everything. But the last thing I was playing was Destroy All Humans, the original one on the PS4. All I'm going to say is it burned me out a bit after the challenge that was the Shadow of the Tomb Raider's Platinum Trophy, and the fact that you kind of lose half an hour, 3/4 of an hour if you die. This has just not made that any better, because sometimes you'd be going around collecting some of the collectibles, you'd be going to do this, you'd be going to do that, you'd be carrying out a mission. All of a sudden, the game will crash. The game is notorious for crashing.
That's tough, especially when are you trying to platinum that thing?
Oh yeah, no, I've got most of the way there. It's just a case of it burnt me out for a little while, and plus this, with the fact that I'm moving house and everything, I just haven't touched it. So all I've really been playing is Mario Kart 8 some more.
You're a sucker for the Mario Kart, Jack.
I'm all right at it, so may as well play something.
And Seamus, what have you been playing?
Oh, no, more of a question of what haven't I been playing. Let's see. Well, I suppose this year it started with Resident Evil 2 as yourself. I know a lot of people played that. Then DMC5. Now I'm kind of between Sekiro and Apex Legends. So that's kind of just what's tying me over at the moment. Okay,
so let's we have a trailer that we're going to run here for Sekiro. So, and that's the game that I'm obviously going to talk about, because it's the game that I've been playing constantly for the last 2 weeks and haven't got time to play anything else. So tell me what your initial reaction is to Sekiro and how you're getting on with that game.
Well, I only picked up Sekiro on Monday because I wasn't well over the weekend and stuff. So I haven't played that much of it, but my God, have they thought of everything? I mean, the game, like, it's not like a Dark Souls game, right? In the sense that it throws you in the deep end. Like, it teaches you as you go, and everything is kind of, there's an actual story to it now. It feels like you're actually following a story for once, instead of, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm in the middle of yarning, what's going on here? Where do I go? What do I do? The game develops as you go, and learning how to use things is a little bit easier than it would be for Dark Souls. The learning curve in the game, I feel, is a little bit easier, but the combat is where the game stands out to me. They've changed their way of giving you combat experience, like, fourfold. It really stands out. Like, every fight you have with a different person is a little bit different. You have to think, like, anyone who's carrying a different weapon, you have to realize what they're holding. Different characters, everyone has a different, like, not so much bosses, but like the co-bosses, I suppose would be the way of putting it.
Yeah, the mini bosses.
They all have a different tactic that kind of prepare you for what's coming, but it's hard enough to get by them the first time. You kind of have to learn how they work before you actually take on a boss.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give my little bit of a run through. I have been streaming it for the last I suppose 2 weeks, and good friend of the show and friend of all of ours, John, has been too old for gaming, has been jumping on the stream with me and coming along the journey, and it's been amazing just trying to come up against these just amazing foes that are fighters. I think with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, you come up against these demons and these weird monster creatures that you have to figure out, okay, this guy maybe spits acid, this guy does something else. But with Sekiro, I feel like it's sword on sword a lot of the time, and that's when the game really shines, is when you're getting out of the way of an attack, you're parrying, you're deflecting. I think you said it as well about the story. Like, it's not like you have to go and look for the story like you would a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls game. The story is there ready for you right from the get-go. You get a pretty good cutscene right at the start. It builds the area. It also does something that Dark Souls and Bloodborne doesn't do, and that's give you a tutorial area to get used to the game at the start. It's an area that you don't have any weapons, and you basically learn the stealth mechanic, and that's something new for any From Software game. In the past, say since Demon Souls, before that we had Tenchu, and I think this game has a lot of similarities to a Tenchu game. When you're not fighting a boss, I feel like you go into an area and you are trying to stealth kill as many foes as possible to get through that area, and most of the time you will end up getting caught and then there's a battle. But I feel like it's I don't know how people will take this, but I think it's the easiest and hardest From Software game to get into. I think on a skill-based level, I think it is very difficult to be good at that game. But I think if you want to go in and actually get a game that shows you the ropes, that gives you this, I don't know whether you know this, Seamus, but it gives you a character at the start that you can use all your new unlocked moves on. You can get used to, say, deflecting or parrying, or if you got a new move, you can use it on this guy. He's basically like an undead. You can kill him and he gets back up again, and he's one of your best buddies. Like, he's a great addition to the game. And I think for me, it's definitely without a doubt the most fun I've had with a From Software game. Now, I'm a huge fan of all that series, but for me, the fun factor of this game is just something else. I don't feel like I've been kicked against the wall like I did in previous games, and I don't think it's easier than a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne, but I do think it just has this sense of when you're going up against a foe, you're blocking, you're attacking, and when you start getting the better of your foe, that's when it really kicks in. You're like, I feel like a badass here. I'm blown away by it. It's going to be very hard, very difficult for me personally to for this to be bet this year, because if this game came out last year, I think I would easily put it as game of the year for me. The combat is fluid, the grappling hook mechanic is amazing. To be able to jump in and out of combat is just brilliant in a way that you couldn't do in the previous games. You couldn't just say, right, I'm going to jump up into the rooftop and get away from these guys, refresh and go again. And just one more thing I want to say before I blabber on anymore is myself and Pain Train Gaming are doing a forfeit, and we are doing whoever dies the least amount of times before clearing the game gets to choose what the other guy has to stream live. And at the moment I am on 30 deaths, and I think Pain he's definitely on less, but he's there or thereabouts. So it's very interesting. I'm having the time of my life with it. Anyone that jumps into the stream will really know what sort of crack that I'm having. So yeah, that's kind of the game that I've been playing mostly. That, and you were playing Apex.
Yeah. I was playing. Well, myself, Paddy, a whole lot of us have been playing Apex. Like a lot of people have been jumping in and out of it, having a good bit of fun with it. And season 1 started. Season 1 Battle Pass started there last week. So that was just a nice new. It's a nice way to kind of refresh a game and add a little bit more to it, because not only like I never got to like level 100 on the pre-season levels, but you get to keep those as well. So like you can still get the Apex packs from those levels, so you can get your bits of gear, but you also have this whole fresh battle pass to go through as well at the same time.
Okay. How is the battle pass? Because I'm hearing different things about it. Is it just more kind of costumes, I suppose? But what are the costumes like? Are they really are they amazing in a way that you want to unlock them? Are they pretty bland compared to, say, the likes of Fortnite? Or what's the new character like? All the questions at once.
I think I think that's a bit of everything at once. The new character is interesting. It's actually a very good addition to the game. He has like he actually looks like something from Borderlands, and we'll get to that later. But he adds this new kind of tactics kind of as a team player, because you can throw a pad on the ground and everyone can kind of bounce out of battle. So you have the option while you're in there. You've got like an escape plan if you have him on your team. But he's also super fast at the sacrifice of his own health. So he can kind of get in and out of situations quite quickly if you want him to scout something or anything like that. So he's not vital to a team, but he does definitely bring a different dimension than other characters do to a team.
Do you use him, or who's your go-to?
I'm a lifeline man. I throw down the heals and kind of keep everybody ticking over. I have used them a bit just to kind of check them out. I like to get a feel for all the characters, so I'll use them all at least once or twice, just so I kind of know what I'm dealing with when I'm fighting one of them. I can't say I dislike them, but there's definitely other characters I put ahead of them for my own personal style of play. The battle pass, on the other hand, it's a battle pass. It's like if you go back to Fortnite season 1, it's season 1. It feels like a day one battle pass. It feels like, but see, there's two sides to that. the game came out with so many skins, so much content, so much you could unlock. For the Battle Pass to only have 100 items that it can give you, it's giving you, for me, it's giving you what you've kind of paid for. But a lot of people aren't happy with it, and I understand that as well, because a lot of the stuff in it, you're still kind of earning stuff from beforehand, because you still get Apex packs and stuff like that in it. But it's still the same as if you were to get one in Fortnite. You can earn enough coins that you don't have to pay for the next one.
Yeah.
So
tell me, is because one of the biggest things for me in Fortnite is not actually the costumes, it's more the map changes. Are they doing any of that kind of stuff in Apex with the map kind of changing, or is it just the same map with these new costumes?
They haven't changed the map so far, but the game's only a month old.
Yeah,
so
no, definitely. I'm not even expecting them to do that.
I don't expect it. In the future, I assume after this season we might see something. There might be something, but apparently, solo queues and duo queues are coming pretty soon.
I heard that.
So
yeah,
that brings a new aspect to the game as well. And I'd like to know how many people are in, because like in the game right now, you play in a party is free, and there's 60 players on a map. There's 20 teams. With the duos, do they reduce it? Do you end up with, or do you have 60 players, or do you have 40 players, or whatever? And the same with solos. What way did they do it? Like with solos, I think they still have to keep the number high, because if you have it really low, you can end up with like people scattered all over the place, and the games will just last very long.
No, definitely. But no, I personally, I love the game. I jumped in right at the start. Myself and Usheen Glennon, I think I see him in there in the chat. We had a blast. Now I've kind of fell off, but I do that with every game, regardless whether it's good or bad. I played Fortnite at the start, didn't play it for ages, jumped back on, loved it, and then I jumped over to Apex, and then just a couple of games came out, and I usually do that. I switch between game to game, but what EA did, I have to, like, my hat's off to EA and Respawn for what they did with that game, because they came out in a market that's hard to jump into, and we'll maybe talk a little bit about the Battlefield Firestorm. That's getting a little bit of stick for what it is, but they have time to improve that. But with what Apex did with their marketing, with the kind of stealth launch, and it coming out and it feeling like pretty much like Titanfall, and Titanfall for me is one of the most underrated games of all time. You can pick that thing up for like, I think, £6 now on the store. It's really is a masterpiece, and what I would love to see them do in Apex is have a character come in and some way have a Titan come in with them, but obviously have it balanced. Have, say, weapons that can maybe an anti-Titan weapon gets introduced as well. So I think there is definitely room for that game to grow, even from where it is now. I think it's an absolutely monumental game. And shout out to Paddy. He's like top 3 in Ireland for wins or kills. So he's really kind of laying his kind of mark on that game. So fair play to him. But yeah, we'll go on to news, guys. If you have if that's all the what we're playing section. Anyone else want to jump in?
I'll say, as much as still my game of the year, Kingdom Hearts 3 ended up being a bit of a letdown. That's what I'll say.
No way. That's unbelievable, Jack, because it was like radio silence when, like, after about a week when that game came out, it was just radio silence, and I was like, I hope people kind of like that game, but yeah, it's
yeah, no, the hype
does it?
the hype was up about here, and it kind of fell to about here. It was still very good in my opinion, but for the amount of time that was spent waiting for it, the hype just did not live up to it.
It wasn't there, was it, Jack?
That and a couple of the things they added into it just weren't needed. Like, I know they added them in to change up the gameplay a small bit, but they were not needed.
Okay. Yeah, because I was kind of, I don't like when people are looking forward to a game for that long and it ends up, being a letdown. And we've all had it. We've all had times where you're just waiting and waiting on a game. But I mean, you have to look at other games that have come out this year already. Seamus mentioned earlier on, Resident Evil 2 was absolutely phenomenal for kind of remake of that game. It was it blew me away, and I haven't cleared it yet, but I will jump back to it. So there is positives this year, even though kind of you didn't get your what you wished for out of Kingdom Hearts, but maybe the next one will do the job in 4 years time.
Yeah, exactly. But the only other thing that I will say, that as much of a letdown that was, that there is one that's after being released in February that I'm quite looking forward to playing, and that's the Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
Never heard of it.
I think it's more of an indie style game. I'm not 100% sure. I remember seeing a trailer for it and I was like, this actually looks pretty interesting.
Sweet. Well, hopefully it lives up to your expectations.
Hopefully.
So, guys, let's go on to news. The first big bit of news that we are going to actually leave for our topic of the week next week when Paddy's back, because he has a lot of interest in kind of streaming platforms and what he thinks the future is going to be in the world of gaming. But Google announced their new gaming streaming service, Google Stadia. It was announced, the features were brought out. So what I want to say to you guys is, what do you think this means for gaming? Do you think it's going to work? And will it be for you? Pat, what do you reckon?
I still think it's a bit early for it. At the moment, like I consider my internet decent at the moment, and I'm hearing like it takes up 20 gigabytes an hour. That's what I've been hearing about it.
Okay.
And like it takes me like a day to download like 10 gigabytes for an update for a game. So it's not. I don't think it's there for a lot of people. But if you're like in a built-up area, I think it would work perfectly fine if you have good internet. And it does look. It seems this is the way that the future will go. But at the same time, I think Google's going to miss out quite a lot because a lot of people still like physical games. And I have a feeling that Xbox and Sony and Nintendo are going to cater to those people with the next generation by still having their physical copies. It's a bit too soon, is what I'd really have to say about it.
Yeah, no, that's I would kind of agree in terms of I think it is too soon that it's coming, but I also think they are ahead of the pack now at this moment in time. Xbox are doing their streaming service. I'm sure Sony are going to bring out something because they have the PlayStation.
They're doing PlayStation now.
Yeah, so they have the PlayStation now, and they could really change the name of that and turn it into something that it is kind of for modern games. And PlayStation now, I've played it. It works pretty well. My biggest problem with this whole service would be that I wouldn't play the likes of, you know, FPS skill-based shooters that you need your frames per second. I have a PC. I can get Fortnite up to 120 frames more at some stage, and I don't think this is going to reach those levels just yet. And I think my internet is 200 meg, so it's not slow, but I just don't think for multiplayer games this will work just yet. But I think for me, definitely getting it, if it was a subscription based thing where you pay whatever it is, 10 or even 15 quid a month like Netflix, I could have it on in the TV, the young lad could jump in, flick through what game he wants. I think it would work perfectly like that. And I do think eventually it is going to go this way, but like you said, there's still that love for physical games, and I think it proves with Sony bringing out the PS5 that they know that they're not going to, you know, throw physical copy or physical gaming away just yet. But it's interesting. I think it is a big step for gaming. There's only every so often when something amazing happens that really changes the face of gaming. I think the last one was the VR, when that kind of was all the talk of what's it going to be. And fair play to Sony, the PlayStation VR is one of the most sold VR kits out there. And yeah, I think Sony, if we look at them, I think they're doing the right thing. Build another console and then build maybe a streaming service around that console, and then maybe gradually bring it over. But with Google jumping in, if anyone can do it, they can. So I'm interested to see what happens. Seamus, what do you think?
I kind of have to agree with Pat on this. I'm kind of like, it's the Sega Dreamcast of the next generation of games. I think it's got the right things. It's just too early.
Yeah.
Like that's the simple as that. Like the Sega Dreamcast was the first console to have like online gaming, and it just came out in 2000, and it was just too early for that sort of infrastructure for people. We didn't have the infrastructure to play games online at that time, so I think it's the right idea, just a bit too soon, and that could be literally the bottleneck for them.
Jack?
I have the same opinion. I think as they're saying, it's way too soon, and I have to agree with Pat. There is always going to be that love for physical games. I'm going to admit I'm one of those people. I don't want to see games going to straight streaming, but I know that is part of what the future is going to be. But again, as Seamus said, it might be just too early for it to start just yet.
Yeah, so kind of the consensus is it's a little bit too early. I think they're going to start rolling it out. The two games that they have for demoing is Doom, which is, we all know, a high Twitch FPS shooter. So that's really going to test the internet and the bandwidth and how smooth the game runs. I've been looking at reports. Doom runs not so well, definitely not as well as it does on a high-end PC. And Assassin's Creed, you know, a single-player game, runs as well as you want it to run. And I think that's where this will really benefit first, is the single player experiences where, you know, you're playing an Assassin's Creed game, you play it on your TV, you save it up, you head into town, you open up your phone, you continue your journey or your adventure on your phone, you have a laptop, you open up the laptop, you can, and I think that connected world is going to be really interesting. There's also another feature that they're bringing in where there's save states where I could be in, you know, a middle of a boss fight with 1 HP health. I can save that state and then I can send it to you, Jack, and see do you survive. So I think those kind of things are really interesting, and I think for developers as well, I think they're really interesting as well, because they can you can, you know, hit a bug, save it around where the bug is, and then send it to developers and help them obviously make the game better. So it's definitely interesting. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground with this one. I want to see how it develops. If it comes out and it's very cheap with a couple of games, I'll purchase it. I'll see how it is, and we'll go from there.
But to carry on from that,
you go there first.
You want to head back? You. I was just going to say, typical podcast. Eh? Go ahead first. You first, Pat.
Right. I was actually to say on the pricing of this. Loads of these big AAA games take a lot of money to build and make, and if you want to have an affordable price to have it like it's so you pay for it and then you can play any game there, if they're going for something like Netflix, the price would have to be considerably high for the amount of time and effort that the money would have to make back up for those games.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it'll just be a case that we have a couple of games to start off. It's cheap, and the money that they make from the initial, say, 6 months, they can pump back into it. They can get other developers on board. Like, I mean, Google are talking about building their own development teams for this, not just buying over all development teams or buying them from Sony or Xbox or Nintendo, but actually building their own. And they do have the money to do this, but what I'll do there is I'll stop on that conversation, because I do want Paddy to be here for to give his say. Next week we will have that as topic of the week. So everyone, if you want to go and research the crap out of it, see what way the testing has been done, and come back and we'll bash heads tomorrow, or sorry, next week when Paddy is back on. So let's move on to the next topic. Just like this is a quick one. It is Sony's answer to having no E3 is State of Play, which was on, I think it was it yesterday or the day before? It was basically an announcement for a couple of their games that are coming out this year. A couple of people were underwhelmed. Pat, you watched it. What did you make of it?
It was interesting enough. Like, I see it as more of a, this will be a place where they promote their smaller games. Like, they had a lot of stuff there, like the Iron Man VR, which, while big, it's a VR project, and I think VR is what they're going to be pushing with this.
Yeah.
But you also had like a Concrete Genie there, which I'm really looking forward to. It looks brilliant, so it's beautiful to a certain extent. But I think this is where a lot of the smaller games will get announced. There might be 1 or 2 big surprises here and there, because they're saying they're going to do it every now and again.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. What I would like to see out of this is the way Nintendo Direct do it. They send out a mail, if you're on the mailing list, and they'll say our next Nintendo Direct are dealing with Legend of Zelda and a new Mario game. And then the next one will be, 2 smaller indie titles. And if we know exactly what we're getting with these, people will jump in. My biggest problem was it lacked character that I usually associate with Sony. It was just kind of video clips. There was no characters there on stage. I would have liked to seen a few developers come on, talk about their games. But I think this is the first one they've done after the kind of announcement of having no E3. And the reason why they dropped out of E3 is because they didn't have any big announcements. I mean, they showed Days Gone again. That game's coming out pretty soon. People are excited about it. But how many times do you have to see that at an E3 event you know, like every year up until like for the last 2 or 3 years. So I think for them to step back away from E3, what I would have liked is them to really, you know, go crazy with this first state of play, but they didn't, and maybe that shows that maybe they made the right decision to step away from E3. Any of the guys there, did you watch or look at Sony's announcement, state of play?
Yeah, I was underwhelmed by it. Like as you said there, stuff. I kind of expected them to announce something new that I was like, but that would kind of take me away. But like everything they kind of said is stuff like we already knew was coming. Like there was nothing to say like I felt like they might have had like something from a new studio or a studio they've taken on or something to kind of just say, well, geez, they're actually doing something this year. I suppose we're probably going to hear more hardware stuff from Sony this year in relation to the PlayStation 5 and stuff like that. But for me, that was like it was a waste of time.
Yeah, I would have preferred if they said this is a VR announcement and just do kind of all the VR games, and then the next time they do it, they'd have, you know, the proper studio stepping in and saying, well, we're working on this and we're working on Horizon 2, what I want to hear, or Bloodborne 2. Do you know what I mean?
Don't make me dream.
But like this is what I want to see from that coming into the future. But I think just the fact that they stepped away, it really shows that they made the right decision, because you can imagine if they went to E3 and showed off these, they really would have kind of stepped back, because you know Xbox are coming with it. So with all those new development companies that are on board.
Also, just on the point there of it being just these small little showcases.
Yeah.
I think that like if they'd set the bar really high with this, then they would have to try and keep that bar at the same height.
Very true.
Now that it's somewhere like between the low levels, like they have loads of room to work with. People won't be expecting as much, and if something big does come out of it, like it will be more satisfying.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, what we can do is we can do a live, say, a podcast over the next event and give our opinion of what we think of the announcements. I think that could be cool to do.
Can I say one thing though? Like with the Marvel VR thing, like I know it's not very great, it's only Iron Man VR, but I will say it reminded me of a game that was announced, I think it was a year or two ago now, that has had nothing said since, and that was the Square Enix Avengers game. It reminded me that was still a thing. So, but if it reminded anybody else, maybe it'll start getting more interest and traction going for it. I don't know, but it could be them nearly teasing, hold on, we could be making a big announcement with it soon. Because nothing's been said since that original trailer, except for Square Enix was working on an Avengers game.
Very true. There's been nothing about that game, has there?
No, except for that one 30-second clip, and even then there was no gameplay, nothing. It was just Captain America's shield and Square Enix.
I just want to see that thing released. I don't want to see any build up. I don't want to see 10 years of, because Endgame is coming, guys. I want to see all the Avengers, all the Marvel products. Just give it to me all. So the next piece of news, Jack, you are very excited about this. I'm not sure about the other guys. At PAX, we got the announcement for, you want to say it, Jack?
Borderlands 3!
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Oh my god. And that trailer was a piece of art. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was just amazing from start to finish, but there was a small little snippets in the trailer that kind of surprised me. Like, in the trailer, they showed the two main bad guys for this game. But later on in the trailer, they also showed Lilith crawling away from them. So it kind of makes you think, hold on, these two might actually be more of a threat than what, say, Handsome Jack was in number 2, or the siren from the first one, whose name eludes me. I cannot remember the name of her, but she was a siren, and which is considered one of the most powerful beings in Borderlands. Okay. But compared to those two, these two seem like a lot more of a threat, especially with how powerful Lilith actually is in the games, story-wise. But then they bring it all the way back with Brick and his epic sax solo, which was the best part of the trailer, in my opinion.
Nice.
See, because Brick was my character in the first Borderlands, and I still love him to this day.
So
looked to me like Marcus Phoenix, though.
So, and there was also, you said there was Borderlands 1 was announced as well. I never actually played Borderlands 1 now, I'm not going to lie to you.
Have you played the second one?
I've played the second one, and I did adore it.
The only problem... Sorry, go on in. No, I was just about to say, if you've played the second one, I don't know how if they're going to do it with the remaster, but I remember going back to the original Borderlands after playing the second one, and I found the combat to be a lot slower compared to the second one. The second one's combat is quick, it's snappy, it's everything, but then this first one just felt a bit slower. So what I'm hoping they'll do is they'll try and make the Borderlands 1 combat in the remake somewhat like Borderlands 2. Don't make it exactly like it, but just try and speed it up a small bit.
Yeah, like like being honest, okay, it never ran particularly well, did it? Borderlands 2.
Oh no,
I think it was
never
actually
did.
it was the game that probably ruined the Vita as well for coming out.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It was
that's still a sore spot.
like I like Borderlands 2, and I like the art style, and I like the gameplay loop, but it never ran particularly well, especially when there was a lot of enemies on screen at once.
Yeah.
And I want to play a game that's fun to jump on with your mates. You know, get that loot grind, get because it's the weapons that are really the interesting part about that game. The writing is actually phenomenal in Borderlands as well. I will give it to the writing. It's very smart, it's witty, and it's got some good characters. Was it handsome Jack? Yeah, I was going to say Platinum Jack.
Yeah.
I was going to say Platinum.
No,
Jack.
I wasn't in Borderlands 2. No,
he's our villain. But yeah,
one thing about
go on. No, you work away now, Jack.
I was just going to say about with Borderlands 1 and 2, it was aimed at co-op a lot as well. But the thing with the co-op was they made it a lot more difficult. If you had a friend jump in, the enemies were a lot smarter, a lot harder to beat. So I'm hoping they kind of do that again with Borderlands 3, but just tweak it a bit to make it a bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. No, I can totally get that. I just I'll look at it from the outside. I'll see how that thing goes, and I'll definitely jump on and play it. But for me, it wouldn't be something that I would be, really looking forward to day one. But definitely, I'll keep an eye on it and jump on. I think they're super fun, and it was a nice announcement. It's nice to get these games announced. I think a lot of people are massive fans of these games, and I'm happy for the fans. Seamus, Pat, are you looking forward to these games? The remake and the Borderlands 3?
I'm looking forward to the remake as I haven't actually played the series, and I really do want to applaud Gearbox for making a game that has 4-player co-op split screen.
Yeah.
Because games are missing that a lot these days. There's times where I just literally want to sit down with my friends and play a game, and then you realize that most racers these days are only single player. You can't play a 2-player split screen even. It's sad the way things are going to a certain extent, but I'm glad this is in a game like this. It gives it more life and entertainment.
Seamus?
I love Borderlands. I love the grind. I love the billions of weapons. I have a mate that literally, the second that was announced, tagged me in a post on the Republican Players page today. And I cannot wait to get back into it. It's something else. There's something about having a witty, humorous game that you can just sit back and blow stuff up with your friends and have an absolute laugh. It's like being a child and discovering how to throw a car and a toy car into a wall and it breaks. There's just that mentality in my mind. It's like the monkey finally starts banging the cymbals together and making noise, and I just get really riled up with it. That's how I feel when it comes to Borderlands. I love it.
Nice, man.
Can I ask you a question, James? Are you looking forward to the character trailers as much as I am?
I just want to get in there and start blowing stuff up. I don't even care.
I do too, but come on, you've got to admit, the character trailers have always been amazing. Look at Kriegs. Kriegs is the best character trailer I've ever seen.
I will say that the intro to Borderlands 2, that track is sick.
I was just about to say that. I want to know
music
what the
is unreal. I want to know.
See where you're coming from.
That was. I remember actually a friend of mine showing me the name of the band, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know it was Cage the Elephant that did the original one with Ain't No Rest for Wicked. The newest one was amazing.
Yeah, it's quite.
I was bobbing along to it while watching it. I was like, this is pretty badass.
It's brilliant. So if we're all stopped gloating about Borderlands, I just have a quick announcement to make. I'm just going to pull up the poster here on screen. So hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm after doing this on the fly. This is OBS on the fly direct, and I hope you guys are still here with me as well and I didn't kick you off. But we have a FIFA tournament coming up this Sunday in Mullingar. It is sponsored by Player One Gaming. Player One Gaming are giving us €5 vouchers for their shop for every entry. Entry is €15. €10 of that would be going through to a prize pool, and a fiver is going to administration fees. It is in Columbia Bar, Mullingar. It's on at 12:30 during the day, Sunday, 31st of March. It is Mother's Day. I want to put that out there. I do apologise for that. When me and my wife were actually talking about what day we had free, she was the one that recommended, why don't you do it at the end of the month? And then a week later she was like, oh crap, that's Mother's Day, it's my fault. You know, you can still do it. I'm not going to not let you do it after all the promotion. Bring your own controller. We're going to be live streaming. We're going to be having commentators. I'm going to do a bit, and we're going to have Oisin Glennon's going to come down. He's going to do a bit of commentating with me, or casting I think is what it's called in the esports scene. Columbia are giving us free coffee and pizza. There's going to be the Westmeath Examiner there, and we're just going to have an absolute blast. This is the first official Republic of Players event, and we want to just have some fun. We want to build it around the community. I can't wait to meet, you know, the people that I've been talking to online for the past 2 years, and a couple of my mates are going to come down and join us as well. So make sure you come down, show your support, and yeah, just have a bit of fun on Mother's Day, and hopefully you don't get kicked out of the house if all the mammies are being angry that you're down playing FIFA.
Just pick up some flowers on the way home.
Exactly. Yeah, if you win it, you'll have enough money to go and buy her a nice present, so it's all good.
Or just tell her that you went for the free pizza.
Bring her down, enter her in the tournament. There's free food and coffee there, you're grand.
Exactly.
So the next bit of news is actually a nice bit of news. I think we're all looking forward to this. Streets of Rage 4, we got a gameplay trailer, and I'm going to play this trailer in the background. But Seamus, are you looking forward to Streets of Rage 4?
We all know I love beat 'em ups. I love any sort of side-scrolling beat 'em up. There is only one pet peeve I have with this. Have you looked at Axel's body? As he moves, he goes from being this absolute tank to an obese man.
Okay, no, I haven't. No, oh, okay, we're looking at it now. Yeah, I can get
it's
that.
It's really odd. I don't know what they've done. I can't fathom what's going on here. Like I love.
I'm never gonna unsee that. You know.
Yeah,
that?
I know. Right, it's out there. But who cares? It's Streets of Rage. You get to have like your mate with you. You go around kicking the shit out of everything. I can't wait. And Paddy, I'm Axel. You could be the woman. I don't care.
Brilliant. That's gonna be the episodic.
That's gonna be a couch up series.
Couch up
series.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Just remember, don't do a Kevin on it and fall off the edge of the maps.
Yeah, we can't let Kevin play Golden Axe ever again.
What did he do? He did two things that night. He fell
asleep.
He fell asleep when I was playing Crash Bandicoot, and he was looking at the wrong screen in Mario Kart.
Oh, Mario Kart. Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry again. We're sorry.
I would absolutely love to have footage of that.
There is on YouTube.
We have footage of both of those clips.
I'd love to have it now to play. That's just brilliant. Guys, we're kind of running a little bit late, but we're just going to go on to topic of the week. And it's a little bit of a serious one. It's one that does have to be mentioned because it could affect all of us here, and especially people in the chat that are content creators. The topic of the week is, how will Article 13 affect content creators? Pat, you were the one that brought up this topic, so I'm gonna let you have the mic for the start of this. What do you make of this, and how do you think it's going to affect us?
It's a bit of a strange thing, in all honesty. Like, the way it's come about is that it's basically, you have one side of the group, which is like YouTube and Facebook and all that, who are loving to make content and are fighting against it, and you have the other side, which is like films and music labels, who want to copyright anything that's used within anything at all, so that no one's making money off what they've done. But it might cut a lot of creative freedom from these channels, and you're going to have to start making a lot more original work to try and get this stuff out rather than relying on other things. But at the same time, it is very restrictive. It is wholeheartedly restrictive, and it might bring an end to a lot of people. But hopefully, like, it's 2 years off now before it's implemented, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's 2 years. Yeah.
And I think it can be stopped if you get, like, I think Una Min was tweeting on something where she showed off the representatives that actually voted for it in. So if we could possibly get people in who would actually vote against it, maybe it might be appeal for not going in.
Yeah, so I think what's happening is, there, like you said, there's two sides. You have the big record labels that are fighting to get this, well, that actually have got the legislation in, and then you have the likes of YouTube and Google and the other side that want basically it to be not a free form, because I think that's the wrong thing to say, but to let content creators have more freedom to upload music and upload, say, video clips of, I think they were calling it the meme killer, was what I read someone say. But I don't think it's actually the article that's going to be the problem. What the biggest problem for me, I think, is going to hit, and it's hit already, is how do they filter this when it does come in? Yeah. And the only answer to it is bots, basically. When you upload a video, and it's like it happens now, you upload a video to YouTube and it scans your video, and I know if you throw anything that is any way related to Nintendo, you get a big copyright stamp and it's sent straight back to you. But so there is kind of copyright filters put in place, but how will they, really kind of bend this to allow? And I've read the kind of small print, and they do allow, Pat, you'll be happy to hear this, they do allow reviews to be done. Obviously you have to use YouTube's music, because it won't be flagged. But you are allowed to use, snippets from games. I think even snippets from movies. So I'm kind of a little bit hesitant to say this is going to destroy YouTubers. I think they will have to maybe change the way they make their content. But I'm not sure. I'd like to see how it kind of plays out a little bit first before I give my initial reaction, or my kind of full reaction. Because with the small print, it opens up to being, a little bit lenient towards content creators. I don't know what you could put up that it'll be just totally flagged, like maybe a clip of a movie, just a straight up clip. But if I was to say, have a clip of a movie with me talking over it and explaining that clip, does that count as a review, or will these filters pick up that movie in the background and say this is copyright, even if it goes under the legislation? I'm not sure about this. I'm not going to be banging down the door and saying I don't want this to come in, because I don't know that much about it yet. And going by the small print, it does look like it's fed towards content creators and trying to bring them into the fray as well, and not alienize them as much as maybe people think. Seamus, what do you think?
The one thing I kind of I don't fully understand it, but the one thing I kind of think this might affect is, like indie companies that make games, but they have really they've got like really good soundtracks, but they're all like, it's not one person that does the soundtrack. There's like a lot of people do it. If one of those like songs in that movie, if you're talking about a game, I don't know, say Hollow Knight, and has a really, really great soundtrack, if one of those songs in that are copyrighted, and you make a clip and a bit of that song is in it, or you talk about the music in the game and you've got a little bit of it in the background, does that strike your whole video off? Like where's the line on this?
But I feel like that happens. Like if I put up a clip of FIFA and there's a song playing in the background, I get the copyright strike.
But I'm saying they're musician songs. Like these things are done by orchestras and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. Like if you were to play a Final Fantasy game or have a clip from Final Fantasy 7 or something like that, and One Winged Angel comes on, it's a symphony that does this song. It's made for this game, but because it's something that is on Spotify as a single track, do you get copyright flagged for that? Like, where is the line for this when it comes to video games and music and everything else? Because I understand with FIFA, these are singles from bands and stuff that are put in the background. But if this is something that's made specifically for this game, like the Devil May Cry games, they have unreal soundtracks, and they're recognized for them. But these aren't like bands you're going to go see in the 3 Arena or anything like that. So where is the line? That's kind of what I want to know.
Yeah, I just think it's like, maybe for us it might be a little bit more difficult because we are using content from a game and we're maybe reviewing it like Pat does or myself does, and we place that up and a song plays in the background, does that get flagged? But for me, like, I always use original songs from the likes of YouTube. You download a song that I know is not going to get flagged, just for the simple fact that you can get flagged now before this article is even brought in. So I've always kind of kept to trying to use royalty-free music anyway, because I think that's the one thing that does really kind of get flagged very quickly with YouTube. And then you have to kind of look, are Google going to really put in place like getting licenses off Sony to allow these tracks to be played? So instead of having YouTube's library of royalty free, will you have YouTube's library, but it will actually have tracks from the licenses that they're after acquiring to allow them to use that? I seen there another thing as well is if you are a premium YouTube user, you can actually download videos now. So I don't know, I do not want to give my opinion on this just yet. Maybe we can revisit it in a couple of months' time when it goes through or not goes through, but I'm kind of up in air with this one.
There's actually heard a few ways around it. Do you know the things like NordVPN?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, since you can actually say like you can use a server from America,
Yes,
since you'd be putting stuff from America onto it, you'd be able to get away with it through that way there.
But is that against the law or?
Well, since you're using NordVPN or anything like that, they wouldn't actually be able to tell because it's supposedly protected through those apps.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah. So.
But what about like the likes of streamers? Same. I'm going to talk about the music in here. Like if you're streaming a game and you're really intense into it, you've got a crowd, you're building up an audience, and like you're playing something, and a song comes on in the background. Can Twitch say shut you down on the spot because you're playing something? Is there are these things going to be monitored in the future? If you're streaming to Facebook or whatever, and you've got your audience, and you've got all these things going, can it affect you there as well? Can you be hit where like you're out there talking to an audience live?
I could actually see that happening because they were talking about even if you make or if you record a clip from a football match and you put it up online, that could be taken straight off.
Yeah.
So that could be a big part. You'd have to actually go to the game developers or game publishers of the game you're playing and get the permission to actually play it on a stream.
It's a weird situation, but I personally think that's the way the internet is going, and it's sad because the internet is so freeform now at the moment that it's a nice place to be and it's a horrible place to be, but we can talk about that in another time. But it's so free that we can do a podcast like this, we can play trailers. Like, is something like what we're doing, is that going to be flagged because we're using footage from games, or is it the fact that we're talking about those games, is it going to be allowed? So this is something that could potentially affect all of us and potentially affect anyone that does content creation on YouTube. But let's hope they take into consideration the smaller YouTubers, because usually we get kind of left in the dust, sadly.
I will say though that looking through the article on the Article 13, it does say that it is up to each country's representatives to decide on which way they want to roll this out. So one country might have a stricter copyright infringement on it, whereas another one mightn't have much at all. So it's really, if it does end up rolling out, it will depend on which country and how strict they go.
But then again, you're still it doesn't matter what country you're in, you're still at the liberty of what websites you're using as well.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just saying by the looks things, that's the way they're going to try and expect it to get through. But at the end of the day, it's something serious against everyone. It's something that shouldn't be going through, basically, in my opinion.
All right, guys, we are going to move on to a more positive topic. This is one that I thought would be a little bit fun to do. It is the Guinness World Records Gaming Edition 2019.
I love how Dragon Ball Z's on the cover of it.
And what I'm going to do
and Mario Odyssey.
I'm not even going to... Oh, what's on the front of it? Oh, yeah, Odyssey and Dragon Ball Z, bit of FIFA 19.
Bit of Minecraft.
Bit of Minecraft up here. What's here? Oh,
Lego
look,
Batman.
Lego Batman. And that's actually Stampy, believe it or not. I think he...
God, I hate him.
He wrote the book, actually.
Oh, God.
So what we have here is Spotify soundtracks, speaking of music. And these are... here we reveal 2017's most streamed soundtracks on Spotify according to the streaming service itself. So number 1, guys. Actually, no. We'll do top 5. Okay. So number 5. Any guesses? No.
Final Fantasy.
Daniel O'Donnell.
Daniel O'Donnell, number 5. Number 5 is Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, it has some good music, but Elder Scrolls always did.
Number 4, Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Okay. Is there there has to be a Devil May Cry on in here.
Final Fantasy may be on it at some stage.
Yeah.
Well.
Number 3, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Because that game is released on everything, including microwave.
Yeah.
Jack, you like this, and I'm actually pretty happy about this one. Number 2 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that's actually because that had some amazing music.
And number 1 is The Witcher 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm actually thinking about it. That's not that surprising. Because, again, it had, like, those top 5 all had amazing soundtracks. The Witcher 3 is one that I still find myself going back to.
Never happened to the good old days of, like, Sonic the Hedgehog soundtracks and Streets of Rage, huh?
Yeah. I have a
good
2009 edition that we can look at as well another week. But just some more honourable mentions here. Number 7, The Last of Us. Number 8, Battlefield 1. 9, Dragon Age Inquisition. And number 10, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which actually has a quality soundtrack.
That is especially the last song.
Very underrated.
That song is amazing.
Very, very underrated. So yeah, that's nearly our show, guys. We have our community section. I'm not sure whether we had any questions throughout because it's hard to do podcast production, look at comments, look at the plan, and keep it all going here. But I think we did a great job for our first week back. But if anyone wants to drop a question in the comments right now, let's hear it. What I do want to do is we're going to do our giveaway. Paddy posted up earlier on that we had €20 PSN credit to give away, so hopefully there's 400 people in the chat waiting for their PSN credit.
At least 400.
And they all commented. Hashtag TROP-CAST.
Yeah, they all commented. They all shared it out. And you know, I was happy with the show that we got here. A couple of familiar faces, a couple of new faces, and you know, thank you for everyone for jumping in. The winner of the PSN credit, and if I could shake this man's hand and roll out the red carpet, he knows I would. It's David Ayres. Well done, Dave. You are the winner of the €20 PSN credit. And I do want to say you are the biggest legend I have never met. I hope to meet you one day, buddy. You're a hero. So good luck to you, man. And just text Paddy and get your PSN credit, and let us know actually what you buy out of it. Post it up on the Republic of Players and let us know what you buy.
Onimusha. It's 20 quid.
David Ayres is in the chat, absolutely delighted with himself.
Not a bother to him.
But rightfully so. It's 20 quid PSN voucher.
A couple of people wrote in with idea of their top soundtrack. Bastion was their unbelievable soundtrack. I'm not sure whether that was 2017, but it was a fantastic
great game,
game and soundtrack.
Again, I heard that.
So yeah, so that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up. So we'll do our shout outs and our usual. Pat, you have been a fantastic addition to the show. I hope you'll come and join us again. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, thanks for having me first. This has been actually a really cool experience and I really enjoyed it.
More than welcome.
But where they can find me, I think on Twitter I'm Pat Gone Mad. Pat Gone Mad, I think. I might be wrong though. So yeah, but I think that's the only place where you really find me. Apart from that, most of my reviews will be up on the Republic of Players YouTube site and Facebook and so on and so forth.
Every review in the last 4 months is Pat. So he's not too far away. So thanks a million, Pat, for the work that you've put in. Absolutely phenomenal. Written reviews and video, just really top standard. So keep it going, and thanks a million for joining us. Seamus.
Me. Where can you find me? Twitter, Twitch, @Maroide. That's about it. At the moment, probably mostly streaming Apex. So if you like Apex, drop in and say hello. Probably going to do Sekiro at some stage and stop getting killed.
And Path of Exile.
Oh yeah, well, Ronan, I was going to leave that to you, but okay. Yeah, myself and Ronan are going to be doing a run through of Path of Exile. They got released on Tuesday on PS4. Be ready for us to get annihilated.
What about the Surge?
Oh yeah, well that's not the next one.
Surge, unbelievable! I can't wait to jump onto that game. Platinum Jack, where can the good folks find you?
You can find me on Twitch at the Platinum Jack. I've been saying this for so long now, but I will finally be getting properly back into streaming now in the next week or two, hopefully, and I've got some big ideas coming, so keep an eye out for that.
Deadly. So just before I go, I just want to say to everyone again, the FIFA tournament is this Sunday. Please come down and show your face. Even if you don't enter, just come down to say hi. It's on at 12:30, and yeah, it should be good fun. There's going to be free pizza and coffee, so hopefully that'll get a few people down to grab a bit of free food on Mother's Day. But look, I just want to thank the guys. I want to also thank Paddy for putting the show together. It took a lot of pressure off me this week, and really appreciate it. And we are back once again, and we are going to be continuing this on a weekly basis. It's great to be back, and it's great for having all the the regulars coming into the chat and having a chit chat, and it's glad to see that we were missed. So yeah, from Pat, Jack, Seamus, and myself, I've been your host, Ronan Fox. This has been the Republic of Players podcast, episode 25, or TROP-CAST is what we're going to be calling it from now on. And we are out.